The Coin Lady channel is pleased to have you back. The greatest clue of our lives has just come to us. Jim Cramer? Why? I believe the game is really over now. Not now, and not only with the second group, but soon? As soon as possible. Why? This is exactly what we needed to find us at the point of collapse, wasn't it? The Great Depression 2.0 is likely to be men, and we're going to look into it in today's video. There's no joking about it. Considering what's headed our way, we might as well get ready. After that moment of collapse, the new financial system will likely be introduced to the globe and turned on immediately. Additionally, we have the XRP price set correctly, and these other coins will now be a part of that new monetary system. AJ Cramer, the economy is booming, booming, booming. I made it. While it lasted, got us was good. Am I correct? The state of the economy is my goodness, you guys, I have no idea how it's doing. Am I correct? So, to sum up, this is what happens. In your opinion, how does this sound? Am I correct? Just because I've come across similar expressions before, roaring economy. Am I correct? Are you asking if this is the correct place? Roaring 20s and 1920 gents, it is the 1920s. The year 1920 marked the beginning. That was in 1929. Next up are the headscarves for depression. Am I correct? Economic growth, fast social and cultural transformation, and an optimistic outlook were all hallmarks of that time and place. In the following day, 1929, it was all going swimmingly until the next day, when it all came crashing down. It's fascinating and intriguing how there are so many signs that are happening right in front of our eyes. Am I now bringing up the collapse of tomorrow? No gods, I'm sure we'll get there in 25. But we'll just have to watch and see. Right now. Why? Why? Because Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase, just made $50 million by selling a couple of his shares. His sale of a portion of his JP Morgan shares, valued at $150 million, was the first of its kind in history. Hold on a second, the largest bank in the world, JP Morgan, sold it all. Guys, I mean it. Yes, and it's worth noting that this is his very first instance of doing this. Do you know what the SEC filing states? Hey, listen up, this happened just now. So, are all the other people selling? I think Kryptos is the reason we're doing well. Before any kind of black swan comes, I think Kryptos will rise, and I hope it does, too. It's likely that a black swan will make an appearance because everyone is selling, isn't it? Take a look at this, it's the first time the CEO of the biggest ACS lender has sold shares since assuming the role in 2005. Consider that since the year 2005, he just made $150 million by selling shares in the bank, you guys. Guys, please. You might want to think about implementing this for future sales if this doesn't tell us anything, though, because it's incoming, you know? There would be a lot more sales if we were at the point of collapse, therefore I'm assuming a recession is on the horizon. This is how we know we're not. We'll be back on top of things when you print this back up, won't you? Never ends until hyperinflation sets in or something falls to pieces, does it? Also, the CEO of AMD has just begun selling AMD shares. With more shares to come, you guys, she just made $20 million off of 200 shares of AMD stock. Here we go again, more sales. An insider just sold Jeff Bezos' $8.5 billion worth of Amazon stock to Mark Zuckerberg and Meta Jamie Dimon for only $28 million. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and JP Morgan have both been selling a lot of stocks recently. Do they know anything that we don't? Some say that everything will be fine as long as Warren Buffett doesn't start selling Coca-Cola stock. The last time Jeff sold that much was around November or December. Just before inflation began to take hold. Oh my, it's interesting to note that some individuals are currently hoarding cash in anticipation of something, so it's not only us who are sensing something coming. Quite intriguing. If you decide to return, you will examine their earlier sells. The market probably fell on November 21, 2020, and 2018 before it did so this year. You never know, maybe they're investing some of their money in Bitcoin. So, if we anticipate bank failures in the near future, will Bitcoin retrace its losses and surge to new all-time highs? We saw this in the previous year's Switchy 3 appreciation, which occurred in March. Remember when the banks crashed? Then, they had to step in and rescue the market. On the same day that this happened, Bitcoin actually pumped 50% or more from its low point. With 26,000 Bitcoins at $51,000, there's a chance that a monster might buy $1.3 billion worth of Bitcoin. At this pricing, who the fuck is buying? It appears like these folks selling could be buying, which is strange, because we're talking about billions of dollars. However, an ETF wallet is not what this is. Wow, that's strange, it's only one guy. Who purchased that much Bitcoin at the 51st price point? Someone in the know, obviously. My hope is that they will finally use cranial tampons. He could have waited if he thought Bitcoin would fall in price, but he hasn't. I truly hope that for the entire community. Because, you know, if Bitcoin crashes, we won't have any season, right? Unless we're doing something stable, retracing our steps, or whatever. In 2024, the ACC economy will most certainly experience a recession. This is according to The Economist. Yes, the odds of a recession are peaking. Furthermore, in 2008. Here we can observe the whole model of the red line, while the blue line extends over Greenland. It appears that this occurred before us, therefore, we will once again redline worldwide at the peak of the range. Not only did 2008 happen, but 2001 as well. However, this is 2020 at the moment. Yeah, that's pretty cool, you guys. Am I correct? Every year, they claim recession is coming, but we haven't. I see, there were actually 3 choices: pump, collapse, or stay. Right now. Option 3 is to pump once, then place the black swan in the center, then pump again. Yeah, the most nefarious one is that, listen, we broached this subject way back when. The market capitalization concentration of the top 10 stocks held by the top 10% of stock market participants has reached its greatest level since 1929, so I guess we'll just have to watch what happens. More than 2000. I see. Okay, folks, 2000 was right here. That's not our level. In essence, our current levels are identical to those of 1929. Sure, dudes. And you know what followed? Wow, that's really ridiculous. Am I correct? This is absolutely ridiculous. Oh well, these points were certain to come up at some point. Oh, and we're already comparing 2090 to 90, aren't we? From 90 to 90 to 90 today. So there you have it. Now it's getting progressively stranger by the second. Why? Because this is extremely strange. Not always in a negative light. Strange, really. For the first time in 60 years or more, a 2% or more increase in the S&P 500 occurred on the New York Stock Exchange, while fewer than 60% of the trading volume went into rising issues. The worst crashes have either already occurred or are just ending. 1987, from 2008 to 2020. Furthermore, we can now tell when a crash has taken place. Am I correct? Then again, it might have been in the aftermath, following the crash. Excuse me? Is it possible that it is making a prediction? Am I correct? Guys, I'm not sure. But the data from all these graphs indicates the same thing, a market crash and subsequent recession. The Nasdaq Composite is up about 3% with less than 55% of issues advancing all 5 presidents, which is why I'm hoping we can pump out an uncommon circumstance. There were also presidents from 1989 to 2001, if you believe Sentiment Trader. Do we really need to keep up with what happened in 2001? That's what they're essentially saying. Okay. No. Is compliance mandatory? No way, dudes, since market prices can be completely arbitrary, you know? It might just keep going up, up, up without ever lowering itself, exactly when everyone's because of this. It is possible that we will not even notice a collision at this particular moment, right now. The problem is that everyone is trying to solve the problem for just one individual. Am I correct? So picture this, they keep pumping it until people grow bullish, then they twist the bend, and suddenly, the black swan shows up, doesn't it? Because we would like to cash out before any kind of recession hits, particularly with our cryptos. I really hope they just do that instead of collapsing or crashing right now. If we don't, we'll tumble if 2020 happens again. Good luck, everyone, because it seems like everything is going downhill at a rate of 50% or more. 60-70 negative minus. I thought the percentages in the ACS bar chart for stock risk premium were the lowest they'd been since the dot-com bust, weren't they? Investors get this premium because they are willing to take on more risk by investing in stocks rather than government bonds. It seems like we're hearing it again. The S&P 500 and the S&P 700 are getting close to Bitcoin policy zone. Because before it goes 2007 to 2000, consider what has transpired. I see. Will there be another increase in the near future? Then again, someone always claims to be bullish until the market crashes, doesn't he? Frankly speaking, Jeremy Grantham has recently predicted that the stock market will crash when the artificial intelligence bubble bursts. People have been saying that if that collapse goes, it will leak into other stocks, so Nvidia has been climbing parabolically. Am I correct? Stimulating the entire economy. When will this guy's deadline be? Powell terminates the emergency bank liquidity program on March 11, 2004. Starting from that day, it starts to rain. I see. In January of 2020, Powell reversed this policy by withdrawing emergency repo interventions. Paulson also took possession of Hank's property in September 2008. The second the crash started, because that was intentional. That's intentional. Holy cow. Quite intriguing. The novel, indeed, it concludes on March 11th. I mean, did they tell us the precise date or something? It's strange, and there are a lot of red flags. The Fed is in a terrible situation, even though they have a money printer. There are a lot of red flags, so I guess we should all just get ready for what's to come, people. Sure, there's some haziness, but not in terms of money. With that, the video comes to a close. Do me a favor and subscribe to my channel. Goodbye for now.